Hamza Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. What if this was 5 rounds? Let me add another thing. What if this was at welterweight? What if Kamaru Usman had a full training camp? I think the answer is all the same, right? Kamaru Usman would have most definitely won that fight under those circumstances. Now, it wasn't. It was a fight at 185 on 11 days' notice, and it was 3 rounds. So I think all of these favored Chimaev, to be honest, and Usman is just an absolute... He's a monster, man. He's a G for taking this fight and for not complaining once. Like, that's even more of a G move. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen guys take fight on a few days' notice and use that as an excuse nonstop. Jorge Masvidal comes to mind. When he fought Kamaru Usman, it was the literal only thing that he talked about in the lead up and after, and what probably got him the second fight against Usman. It was, I took this fight on 6 days' notice. Give me a full training camp, and I swear to God, I'm beating this guy. Like, it was the whole thing. And Usman in this case did not use that as an excuse, not once. And you just have to tip your hat off to a guy like that. But at the same time, I feel like it's not even a but. I'm just saying end of story. There's the period to that. We just have to tip our hat off to a guy like Kamaru Usman for taking this fight under their circumstances. Period. Hamza Chimaev is a monster, though. There's just, like, we've seen him fight. I don't think he's I don't think he's unbeatable, like, as maybe I perceived him and we all perceived him at one point, but he is as good as we think he is. He is as advertised, as Usman said many times. The first round of a Hamza Chimaev fight is always extremely intriguing to watch and usually very, very dominating. Hamza Chimaev just dominates, and he just walks you down, takes you down, probably fails, and then tries again and gets it, and then mauls you for the entire 5 minute. Like, there's not a lot of guys that does it like him, to such an open-minded people. Like, you know what he's gonna do and you can't stop it. He's gonna walk you down and take you down. That's it. And you can't do anything about it. And it's crazy because you did see in this fight, though, there was a little bit of respect for Usman, because he tried to touch hands at the beginning, like, touch gloves, which in the Holland fight, he didn't want to do that at all. Actually, Holland put his hands out to touch glove, and Chimaev ducked under to go for the takedown, which was, I don't know, maybe it was just like a spurt of the moment thing. I don't think maybe it wasn't an asshole move or anything like that. But, with Usman, you saw he walked it a bit slower, put his hand up for a glove, act like he was going to strike for a few seconds, and then went for the takedown and actually got it pretty easily. So on a guy like Usman too, who has 97% takedown defense or 98%, you don't see any guys taking Kamaru Usman down like that and controlling him on the ground for a whole round. That has just never happened. So Chimaev's grappling is that good. He's that special. Now, the second and third round were controversial, I guess, a little bit. Chimaev said he had like a hand injury at the end of the fight.
First round, last minute, I think I broke my hand, and it was hard to wrestle and keep him down, but I couldn't use my right hand.
He did gas out, though, and maybe someone on this channel called it. I did. I swear to God I did. In the prediction video, I said Hamza Chimaev needed something very big in the first minute of the round. He needed something big early in the first round. And I said a punch or a knockdown or something like that. But it was a takedown, which led him to a dominating round, which gave him a 10-8, right? He needed that. And after a while, I think the pace of Usman, his conditioning, even on 11 days notice, would be too much for a guy like Hamza Chimaev. He's just been used to this type of experience so many times, and that's exactly what happened. Hamza Chimaev did gas out. You saw it at the end of the first round. He was on his stool, like, with his head down. You could just see it was like kind of reminiscing of the Gilbert Burns fight as well, where the guy was like screaming in his head. In his head, yeah, like, obviously the coach wasn't screaming this time, or I guess we didn't see it, but you did see a Hamza Chimaev that was a bit like fatigued, and he didn't have that same energy as like the beginning of the first round, where he's like smiling and like kind of looked like psychopath, like a psychopath waiting to go for a murder or something. But at the end of the first and at the end of the second, you just saw Khamzat Chimaev that was more gassed, more tired, more like it was taking a toll on him. And after the end of like the first round, you just saw Usman pick it up a little bit, and on the feet, I think it was pretty clear that Usman had the edge. But we have to give it to Chimaev, because in that Gilbert Burns fight as well, like that first round was his, that second round was Gilbert Burns, and then in that third round, I just watched the Weasel video actually a few minutes ago, and you saw like he was coming back. He didn't give up. He didn't like let go. Like even though you saw him fatigued a little bit, he never gave in to these thoughts that you get when you're fighting, and like, all right, I've had enough. I'm tired. Like let's just go home. He never gave in to these thoughts. He tried, and he actually arguably maybe won the third round. So, I actually, watching it first, I thought the third round was clear for Usman, and the second was for Chimaev. I thought because of the control time in the second round, and because I thought of the striking in the third round, Usman won that. But watching it back, especially the Weasel video, from what we see, Usman landed bigger shots in the second, and Chimaev landed bigger shots in the third. So, like I said, Chimaev didn't just go away. He did gas out, but he didn't go away. And I think, like I said, a fourth and fifth round would have been insane to see. I think it's overdue now that Chimaev needs to be in those types of fights to actually be tested, to actually see if he's meant to be a champion. And I'm kind of pissed that he gets his chance to fight, Sean Strickland, who's like not at all a wrestler, pretty much a boxer. It's like, it just seems like a slaughter waiting to happen. But I guess he did beat Adesanya. It's just like, yeah, Chimaev's gonna be a big favorite to win. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, Dricus du Plessis is still there, right? We know Dricus du Plessis. He beat Robert Whittaker. When you beat Robert Whittaker, the number one contender, and you finish him in 2 rounds, you should get a title shot. That's just how it should be. But the UFC sometimes just doesn't work out that way. They want to promote certain fighters. It's crazy because Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev was never a number one contender fight. Nobody has ever said that. But then when Paulo Costa fell through and Chimaev and Usman came in, now all of a sudden it was a number one contender fight just to hype up the card. You know what I mean? But it was never supposed to be that. And now it was 2 170-pounders fighting up a weight class. And then the winner fights in a new division's title for the title. Like, to me, that just didn't make sense. Let Chimaev fight an actual 85er. Do Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland for the title. And then we do Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. To me, that makes the most amount of sense. And you can match up Usman versus Belal. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do that. Fuck, Usman deserves more, all right? He's earned our respect now, so we can find somebody else at 185. Maybe we could do Usman versus Costa. That could be fun. But I think Khamzat Chimaev he hasn't fought a single 185er. To me, that does not make sense. But is Khamzat Chimaev going to win? Most likely. But like I said, I just believe that he should fight another 185-pounders before getting a title shot. It cannot be this blatant where, we just push a star to the title without any contender, without him beating any contenders in that division. But like I said, he is a monster, and he's probably going to be champion for a long time if he stay consistent. There's going to be a lot of fun matchup for him. And another time we have to take our hat off to Usman for taking that fight. So shout out to him. And let me know your thoughts on that specific fight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I thought that was a great fight. Probably, one of the fight of the nights. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'll let you guys go. I have to get some sleep, but I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully, inshallah. I have to say inshallah. I'm not Muslim, all right? But that's kind of a cool thing to say. Take care, boys.